Hello friends, let us talk about the function of heart today. In the last chapter, when we had discussed about the structure of heart, I had told you that heart is a pumping organ which starts its function well before a child is born, that is in the fetal condition, and continues to beat till an individual dies. The structure of heart also we had seen that it is consisting of a pair of auricles and a pair of ventricles. Let us have a look at it in the diagram once again. Here you can see that the heart not only consists of a pair of auricles and ventricles, but a superior and inferior vena cava that brings in the deoxygenated blood and the aortic arch that is pumping the oxygenated blood. The blood is pumped through two circuits, the systemic circuit and the pulmonary circuit. The systemic circuit pumps oxygenated blood to different parts of the body, brings in deoxygenated blood into the heart, from where it is pumped into the lungs. It gets oxygenated over there again and enters the systemic circuit. In this way, the two circuits keep on alternating. So my dear friends, after having known about the structure of heart, now we go into its details of the functionalities. Now if you look at the function of heart, the most important structure that is associated with its function are the cardiac muscle fibers. Cardiac muscle fibers are the specialized muscle fibers which are present in the heart. They are different from the striated muscle fibers. They are striated all right, but then there is a difference in their structural composition. Let us have a look at what is so special in their structure once again. If you look at the cardiac muscle fibers, you will make out that they are made up of structural and functional unit called as the sarcomere. They have abundant mitochondria. Sarcolemma have got specialized ion channels called as the voltage gated calcium channels. The fibers are not anchored end to end. This allows the sarcomere to contract and relax a lot. Also the fibers are branched and are connected with each other through intercalated discs. There are several gap junctions and the nuclei are located centrally. These characteristics make it different from the striated muscle fibers and allows them to contract and relax endlessly in coordination in such a way that they can contract on their own without any external stimuli every time. If you have a look at the next diagram, here you can see that in the structure of heart, the number 1 indicates sinoatrial node or the pacemaker. It is made up of specialized cells which contain very less amount of actin and myosin filaments. The number 2 is the AV node or the atrioventricular node. This is connected with the SA node through special internodal pathways. AV node is called as a secondary pacemaker and it is autorhythmic. Then there are the number 3, which is the bundle of His. These bundle of His are located in the interventricular septum of ventricles, and it has got left and right branches which are indicated as 4 and 5, and the Purkinje fibers, the 5 which are present laterally on the wall of ventricles. All these help in conduction of the nerve impulse in the entire heart. There is always a question that how can heart contract and relax on its own. So whatever I have explained just now about the SA node, AV node, the bundle of His and the Purkinje fibers, let us see them in the context of how the blood flows and the auricles and ventricles contract. If you look at the diagram, here you can see that the beginning of the electrical impulse always is at the SA node. It spreads slowly and gradually, and the entire auricular area, that is both the auricles, depolarize and contract simultaneously. The electrical impulse at this time reaches the AV node. From there it will be spreading via interventricular septum, that is the bundle of His, into the entire ventricular wall through the Purkinje fibers. Now this enables the entire ventricles to contract. Now if we look at the whole sequence of events in perspective, here you will be able to make out that the sequence of excitation always starts at the SA node, spreads into the atria, and from atrium into the AV node and then into the ventricles. During this process, the heart never fatigues. It will contract and relax endlessly and always follows an excitability cycle. Now how does it contract and relax endlessly, and what is this excitability cycle? Let us have a look in detail. Calcium, as you can see, is a very important ion that is associated with contraction and relaxation. There is a difference between excitation and contraction. Excitation means generation of action potential, whereas contraction means simple shortening of the muscle fiber. So, here there is a process of excitation that is followed by a process of contraction in case of heart. If you look at this diagram carefully, you will be able to make out that there are some channels which are called as the IF channels, also referred as the funny current channels, that open. This leads to depolarization and influx of calcium ions. Lots of calcium channels open, leading to calcium, plentiful calcium into the sarcoplasm. Then later on the potassium channels open and then the potassium channels close. So, this entire spike or the sequence of events, if you see in the next diagram, you will be able to see that there is a considerable amount of refractory period that is seen in the contraction and relaxation of cardiac muscle fibers as compared to the skeletal muscle fibers. If you look at the next picture, you will be able to make out that the calcium gets into the sarcoplasmic reticulum through the calcium channels. Also, calcium is supplemented through the sarcoplasmic reticulum and it is made available for binding with the troponin. Troponin is a contractile protein present in the sarcomere. Now, this contractile protein binds with calcium and contraction occurs. During relaxation, the calcium is unbound, that is, it is made free, and the calcium is taken up by the sarcoplasmic reticulum, or it is actively pumped out from the sarcoplasm. The ECG or the electrocardiogram, as we all know, can be recorded by placing electrodes on the right and the left arm and the left leg. If you can look at the diagram and make out that the positions of the lid indicates the positive and the negative terminals which the electrical impulse are undergoing. If a wave front of depolarization travels towards the electrode attached to the positive input terminal of ECG amplifier and away from the electrode attached to the negative terminal, a positive deflection will be resulting, as you can see over here. Also, if the wave front travels from the positive towards the negative terminal, a negative deflection is seen, as you can see here in the diagram. Now, if the waveform is travelling in direction perpendicular to the line joining both the lids, the deflection is biphasic, so there will not be any deflection recorded. If you see this diagram, you will be able to make out that this forms a triangle of positive and negative lids. It is called as the Einthoven's triangle, wherein there is a atrial depolarization that is almost exactly parallel to the axis of lid 2, which is from RA to LL. A positive deflection of P is resulted. Similarly, since the ventricular muscle is much thicker on the left side as compared to the right side, the summated depolarization of the two ventricles is downwards, and therefore, there is a R wave that is generated. Now, the septal depolarization moves from left to right and the depolarization vector is directed towards the negative electrode of the lid 2, and therefore, a negative deflection or the Q wave is produced. Confused? Well, you do not need to be. Let us have a look at the next diagram again. Here you can see that there are P waves, the QRS peaks and the T wave. The P wave indicates contraction of auricles, the QRS complex indicates the relaxation of auricles and contraction of ventricles, whereas the T wave indicates the relaxation of ventricles. Now, if we synchronize all these sequence of events with the electrode movement, if you look at the next diagram, that will clear up all the doubts and queries where both the things, that is the PQRS-T waves and the function of heart has been synchronized. Let us have a look. Here you can see that the P wave indicated by the color as well in the heart is symbolizing the contraction of auricles. The Q segment indicates the contraction of auricles completed. The QRS complex indicates the contraction, relaxation of auricles and the contraction of ventricles, whereas the T wave indicates the relaxation of ventricles. So, this is the entire cycle in which the heart continuously contracts and relaxes throughout the day, throughout weeks and till the end of our life. Now, this is called as a cardiac cycle, but there are many things which are associated with a cardiac cycle. Let us have a look in detail. A heart rate means the number of heartbeats per minute, and normal value is about 60 to 100 heartbeats per minute. There are few other terms like the stroke volume, which is called as the volume of blood pumped by each ventricle per contraction. So, based upon both these things, we can calculate the cardiac output, which is the amount of blood pumped out of each ventricles per minute. So, cardiac output is equal to stroke volume into heart rate. So, this is all about the heart and its functioning, but there are many more things like what is the heart sound, how is it produced. Every person, may it be a kid or an adult, knows that the heart beats and produces some sound, and we can hear this sound with the help of not only our own ear, but the doctor's stethoscope also. It is indeed interesting to understand that how does a heart produce the sound. Let us see how it does. There are 4 sounds that a heart can actually produce, which can be recorded by phonocardiography, but normally we just hear 2 sounds, that is the first and the second heart sound, that is audible through stethoscope. Let us understand how the heart sounds actually take place. If you look at the diagram, the first heart sound that we can hear is due to the atrioventricular valve contraction, that is closing and opening. The second heart sound is produced by the aortic and pulmonary seminular valves when they close. Both these heart sounds are actually contributing towards the lub and dub, the 2 sounds that we can hear either with our ear or with the help of a stethoscope. Now, there is a problem. If there is any problem, any congenital disease due to the opening and the closing of the heart valves, then it leads to a disease called as the cardiac murmur. Cardiac murmur is an abnormal sound that is produced by the heart in such a way that the opening and the closing of the valves is defective. If you can look at the diagram, there will be a list of functional ailments that are associated with heart. Number 1, arrhythmia. Arrhythmia means irregular heartbeat due to abnormal electrical activity. The normal resting heart rate is about 60 to 80 beats per minute. There is something called as bradycardia, where there is a slow rhythm, that is less than 60 beats per minute, and there is the fast rate, which is 100 beats per minute. It is called as tachycardia. Another condition which is called as a ventricular flutter, wherein the ventricle beats 250 to 300 beats per minute, and fibrillation, which is due to chaotic electrical impulse of atrium. Now, here what we need to understand is flutter and fibrillation are 2 conditions wherein the heart is beating actually very fast, but the amount of output of the heart is very less. In other words, the amount of blood that comes out of the heart is so less that the other tissues are starved for oxygen and nutritional supply. If you look at the next slide, the chemicals and medicines that are associated with treating heart problems or heart ailments basically are of 2 types. The compounds that increase or decrease the heart rate are called as chronotropic agents, whereas the compounds that increase or decrease the force of contraction are called as the ionotropic agents. So, there is chemical, medical assistance so that our heart can function normally. After all, it is a very important organ of our body. Apart from all these external stimuli and electrical impulses, heart is also controlled by emotions, exercise, and several other exogenous factors. Let us have a look at them one by one. Here you can see that the regulation of cardiac function is done by the nervous, that is the brain, the hormonal, that is the hormone secreted from the adrenal gland, the autoregulation mechanism, that is the baroreceptors, and few other exogenous factors that also contribute towards the control of heartbeat. Let us have a look at the nervous control of heart all over again in detail. The nervous control of heart is divisible into 2 types, the sympathetic control and the parasympathetic control. The sympathetic control is controlled by hormone epinephrine, whereas the parasympathetic by acetylcholine. Then there are higher centers like hypothalamus, thalamus and cerebral cortex. All get informations from the exogenous factors like temperature changes, exercise, excitement, anxiety, emotion and other problems. Then there are reflexes like the baroreceptor or the chemoreceptor reflex, which is present in the carotid artery, that too controls the blood pressure and heart rate. It is generally stimulated or decreased by the levels of oxygen, the condition of pH in blood and the increased amount of carbon dioxide. Also there are proprioceptors which are increasing the heartbeat during muscular exercise. Hormones like epinephrine and thyroxine also are increasing the contractility of the heart. Then there is an autoregulatory mechanism by the Frank-Starling's law, and other factors like calcium, sodium and potassium levels contributing towards the functioning of heart. Now there is a problem that besides the function of heart, the heart on its own, which is made up of cardiac muscles, may get exhausted at times, in the sense that it will be having lack of oxygen supply or lack of nutritional supply due to blockade in the coronary artery, which is supplying blood to its own muscles. This condition is called as heart attack, as we all know. Now there are certain treatments. If you can have a look at the diagram, there is something called as a coronary bypass, where an alternative route is created so that the blood reaches from one part to another part and the occluded artery can be bypassed. There are another couple of techniques like balloon catheter inflation and stent placement, which will prevent the plaque formation and will facilitate blood flow to the cardiac tissue present in the different parts of the heart. Now, if there is a problem with the SA node and this problem leads to improper generation of electrical impulse, then there is an option where an artificial pacemaker is kept. Now, remember, as we had seen in the previous slides, SA node is called as a pacemaker. Now, if we place an artificial pacemaker, its job is to produce artificial electric current in such a way that the cardiac impulses take over and the heart is capable of beating irrespective of the SA node not functioning properly. As you can look in the diagram, the pacemaker is surgically implanted and is arranged in such a way that the electrode provides electrical impulses and can control the heartbeat and heart function. So, dear friends, we could see that the heart is a magnificent organ and is having a very peculiar way of functioning. It functions continuously, endlessly throughout our life. Even when we are sleeping, we are awake, we are happy, we are depressed, we are emotionally disturbed, or we are climbing the mountain, or we are running, we are swimming, still the heart keeps on beating endlessly. Such a fascinating organ should be taken care of. Let us see the diagram and sum up the entire function once again. Here, as you can see in the diagram, the impulse of heart contraction is generated at the SA node. It spreads in the entire auricle that generates the P wave. The auricular contraction leads to the blood going into the ventricles through the auriculoventricular valves. Then the ventricles contract, generates the QRS complex. Relaxation of the ventricle generates a T complex. In this way, a electrical impulse is completed, a cardiac cycle is completed, and a function of heart in this way is completed. So, this is the way in which a mammalian heart functions, and we can see that the one cardiac cycle consists of an auricular contraction, auricular relaxation, ventricular contraction and ventricular relaxation occurring in such beautiful synchrony to complete one cardiac cycle. Thank you.